Have you ever looked back at a relationship and asked yourself, how did I not see it sooner? They were smiling, they were kind, they even made you feel special, and yet, they broke something inside you, quietly, slowly, with precision. This is the story that plays on loop in the minds of people who feel betrayed, not by enemies, but by those they let closest. Friends, partners, even family. They didn't scream danger. They wore masks. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who understood the human soul better than most, warned us of these masks. He believed that evil doesn't always appear as a monster. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it helps you. And sometimes it loves you. The people who destroy us don't always do it with violence or cruelty. They do it by reflecting parts of ourselves we don't understand, by pressing the hidden wounds we never treated, by making us believe that they're safe, when in truth, they're not. In this video, we're going to walk through 6 types of people Jung warned us about, not directly by name, but through his understanding of the psyche. Each one wears a different mask. Each one is more dangerous than they seem. And chances are, you've already met at least one of them. But this isn't just about them. It's about you, your patterns, your blind spots, your quiet need to be accepted. It's not weakness, it's human. But left unchecked, it becomes the reason you get pulled into toxic connections over and over again. So if you've ever felt drained after a conversation, if you felt like you were being emotionally played, but couldn't prove it, or if you just want to understand why you keep trusting people who end up hurting you, this video may hit harder than you expect. Because these 6 people, they're not rare, they're everywhere. And once you know what to look for, you'll never unsee them again. So why do we miss the signs? Why do intelligent, kind-hearted people fall into the same trap again and again? Carl Jung had a name for the part of us that keeps walking into the fire. He called it the shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide, deny, or are too afraid to face. We all wear masks, not out of deception but survival. We want to be liked. We want to be seen as good. So we suppress the anger, the jealousy, the insecurity. We push it down out of sight. But what's buried isn't gone. It just slips into the dark. And in that darkness, it grows. Here's the catch. When we ignore our shadow, we don't just lose touch with ourselves. We become blind to it in others. We miss the quiet manipulator. We overlook the silent resentment. We mistake control for care and chaos for charisma. Jung believed that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will control our lives, and we'll call it fate. This is why some people end up in the same kinds of relationships over and over, each one more draining than the last. Different face, same mask. And the people we're about to explore, these 6 types, don't always know the harm they cause. Some are fully aware, others are simply playing out their own traumas, projecting their unresolved wounds onto everyone around them, including you. But here's where things shift. The moment you see the pattern, the moment you name it, you take back control. Because once you see through the mask, you don't fall for it again. Not as easily, not as deeply. So now we go deeper. You're about to meet 6 psychological types Jung would have warned you about. Each one mirrors something hidden inside you. And each one, if left unchecked, can quietly tear your world apart. Let's begin with the first, the trickster, the smiling destroyer. You've met them before, the ones who light up every room, who always know the right thing to say, who make you feel seen, chosen, special. But with time, something feels off. You feel drained, confused, questioning yourself. This is the trickster. In Jungian psychology, the trickster is a shapeshifter, playful on the surface, but dangerously unpredictable beneath. They thrive on chaos, cloaked in charm. They don't attack you directly. They joke, they tease, They didn't mean it that way. But over time, their words chip away at your confidence. They smile as they do it, and that's what makes it so disorienting. You might even laugh with them at first, because they're clever, funny, magnetic. But every interaction leaves you just a little less sure of yourself. And here's the trap. They mirror your insecurities back to you, wrapped in humor or sarcasm. You feel exposed, and somehow, you're the one who feels guilty. But Jung would say, this is not about them. It's about your willingness to ignore what you already sensed. Because the mask was too beautiful to question. You see, the trickster teaches us something brutal but necessary. That pain doesn't always come dressed in cruelty. Sometimes it wears a grin. Ask yourself, 1. Have I ever laughed at a joke that left me uneasy for hours after? 2. Do I justify someone's behavior just because they're fun or didn't mean it? 3. Am I shrinking around someone who always seems to win the room? The trickster doesn't destroy you with force. They make you doubt your reality. And once you lose that, they don't have to take anything else. You'll hand it over willingly. But you don't have to, because now you know what the mask looks like. And once you recognize one, you'll see others clearly. Now we move to the second mask, one that doesn't laugh, but listens. And in doing so, quietly tightens its grip. The trickster disorients you with charm, but the false savior, they bind you with guilt. They enter your life like a storm of support. They show up when you're broken, overwhelmed, vulnerable. They offer help before you even ask for it. And at first, you feel grateful, seen, saved. But something slowly shifts. Their kindness begins to carry a weight. Every favor comes with a price, not always in money, but in loyalty, obedience, emotional submission. Carl Jung called this dynamic part of the martyr complex. These people don't help out of selflessness. They help to feel important, to be needed, to secure your dependence. And what's more dangerous, they make you believe you owe them your peace, because they were there when no one else was, because they sacrificed so much, because they never ask for anything. Yet the emotional debt piles up in silence. They wear their suffering like a crown. They'll say things like, 1. I guess I just care too much. 2. If I don't do it, who will? 3. I always put others before myself, and this is how I get treated. You feel cornered, not by cruelty but by compassion. You stay close, not out of love, but out of guilt. But real love doesn't imprison, and real sacrifice isn't broadcasted like a billboard of self-praise. Jung warned us, the most manipulative chains are forged in the name of kindness. Because when someone defines themselves as your savior, they automatically cast you as someone who always needs saving. So here's the uncomfortable truth. The false savior doesn't want your healing. They want your helplessness. Because without it, they have no power. And so, if you felt trapped in gratitude, if your rescuer gets angry when you become more independent, then you weren't being helped. You were being held. But once you see this clearly, the spell breaks. And now, we turn to a more invisible threat, one that rarely raises its voice, but quietly infects your beliefs. You've already met the false savior, the one who binds you through guilt. But now meet their opposite reflection, the forever victim. At first glance, they seem fragile, wounded, always on the edge of some emotional cliff. They speak in sighs, live in disappointment, and carry pain like it's a badge of honor. You lean in to comfort them. You listen, you advise. You stay up late being their emotional anchor. Because you're kind, because you care. But the days pass, then months, and you realize their story never changes. They don't want a solution. They want an audience. Carl Jung understood this pathology deeply. He believed that some people identify so fully with their wounds that healing would feel like a kind of death. Because if they aren't a victim, who are they? These people drain you not with aggression, but with endless need. And worse, they make you feel responsible for their pain. You start to think, 1. Maybe I'm not doing enough for them. 2. Maybe if I just listened better. 3. Maybe they wouldn't be so hurt if I were a better friend. But the truth is chilling. They are not looking to rise. They are looking to pull you down just enough. So you'll sit beside them in the dark. This isn't friendship. This isn't love. This is emotional parasitism. They feed on your energy, your empathy, your silence. And any attempt to set boundaries, it's met with guilt-tripping, subtle blame, or emotional collapse. And here's the quiet tragedy. If you're naturally nurturing, if you've ever been the fixer, you're the perfect target. But you must remember, you are not the cure for someone who doesn't want to heal, and carrying their pain won't lighten their load. It will only bury you under it. When you leave their world, they will find another listener, another empath, another host. Because for them, suffering isn't a season, it's a strategy. And if you've recognized someone like this, someone who always suffers but never changes, it's not cruel to walk away. It's necessary. Now let's meet a figure, perhaps the most dangerous of all, because they don't beg for attention, and they don't wear masks. They blend in, they adapt, they infect through silence. If the forever victim weakens you through sorrow, this next type weaponizes yourself against you. Because this person doesn't even seem dangerous at first. They agree with you, reflect you, echo your values, your stories, your worldview. It feels effortless. Finally, someone who understands you. But Carl Jung warned us about this exact illusion. He called it the shadow projection, where what we fear, avoid, or suppress finds its way back to us through others. The mirror manipulator doesn't attack, they absorb, they shapeshift, they become whatever you want, until you stop knowing what you actually needed. They study your wounds, they mirror your passions, they even seem to share your pain. And that's where the trap is set. Because when you begin to feel safe, when you've opened your soul thinking they truly get you, that's when the real manipulation begins. They'll slowly distort your reality, make you question your gut, undermine your confidence, not through violence, but through subtle shifts. 1. I think you're just overthinking things again. 2. You used to be more fun before you started worrying so much. 3. Why are you making this about you? I thought you were stronger than that. You see, they never outright say they're better than you. They just reflect a version of you that's slightly unworthy and wait for you to believe it. It's psychological erosion. And the worst part? They use your own self-image as the weapon because you trusted them, because they saw the real you, because they built that trust, not by demanding attention, but by mirroring it. But what you were actually falling for was a carefully constructed illusion. These people are rare, but devastating. They leave no fingerprints, and if you don't step away, you won't just lose your time or energy. You'll lose your sense of self. Jung believed that those who unconsciously deny their own darkness become easy prey to those who exploit it. So if you felt like someone in your life only reflects who you are when it benefits them, you may be looking into a mirror, but what's staring back isn't your reflection, it's your replacement. If the mirror manipulator made you question your identity, this next type makes you question your entire reality. Because at first, this person is electric, magnetic. They light up every room they enter. Their charm feels like a warm spotlight, until you realize it's burning right through you. Carl Jung warned us about the dangers of becoming too attached to our persona, the mask we wear to fit into society. And some people, they never take it off. These individuals are not just hiding parts of themselves. They are their mask. Everything they do is performative. Every compliment, every joke, every story is rehearsed. They don't build connections. They perform roles. Roles that make you feel seen, admired, even special. But it's all scripted. They feed off admiration, not intimacy. They don't want love. They want applause. And once the applause fades, so do they. You might find yourself endlessly giving your time, your praise, your vulnerability, only to be met with emotional emptiness. You ask for depth, and all you get is charm. You ask for honesty, and get another show. And the more you try to uncover who they really are, the more you realize there's nothing real there, just a persona. This is deeply dangerous, because the damage they do isn't just betrayal, it's disillusionment. You feel like a fool for believing, for opening up, for thinking it meant something. Jung believed that when people over-identify with the persona, they lose touch with their true self, leaving behind a hollow core. And if you're not careful, that hollow space will start to drain you too, because you can't connect with someone who isn't truly there. And yet, that's exactly what the charmer with no soul wants. Attention without accountability, praise without presence. So if you've ever felt emotionally exhausted after spending time with someone who seems too perfect, too quick with the right words, too rehearsed with their kindness, too smooth in their affection, you may not be falling in love. You may be falling into a performance. And just when you think it can't get more destabilizing, there's one more type to confront, the most volatile. The one who doesn't seduce or mirror or charm, they confuse. They distort. They dismantle everything. If the charmer left you drained from illusion, the chaos dealer leaves you questioning your sanity. This is the most dangerous person Carl Jung silently warned us about. Not through alarm, but through his exploration of the shadow, the part of the human psyche we repress, deny, and fear. Because this person, they live in that shadow. They weaponize it. Unlike the trickster who plays with deception, or the persona who performs to be loved, the chaos dealer wants control, not affection, not admiration, just control. And they achieve it by creating confusion. They distort timelines. They rewrite events. They say things never happened, and insist things happened that never did. They'll twist your words, your memory, your perception, until you begin to mistrust your own mind. You'll find yourself apologizing when you're the one who's hurt, defending them when it's you who needs defense, and questioning your reactions, your instincts, your truth. That's not just manipulation, that's psychological warfare. Jung spoke of individuation, the path to becoming whole. But the chaos dealer keeps you fragmented. They feed on disorientation. They don't argue with facts. They dismantle your framework for even recognizing what's real. And the scariest part? You won't always see it right away, because the chaos doesn't explode, it drips. Slowly, quietly. Until one day you wake up and realize you don't recognize yourself anymore. These people often come cloaked in victimhood or wisdom. They'll say they've seen things, been through it all, or just want to protect you. But it's not your protection they seek. It's your submission. They pull you into their storm and convince you it's your fault the sky turned black. So how do you protect yourself? Jung would say, return to your center. Know your truth. Claim your shadow before they weaponize it. Ground yourself in reality, even when they try to rip it apart. Because once you stop trying to make sense of their chaos, you'll finally begin to reclaim your peace. Now that you've met all six, you understand why Carl Jung's insights were not just intellectual. They were survival tools. Tools to protect your mind, your heart, and your very sense of self from the people who wear masks not to hide, but to destroy. Take a breath. Look back. All this time, maybe you blamed yourself for trusting too easily, for staying too long, for not fighting back when the red flags were waving like wildfire. And maybe You carried that blame like a wound that never closed. But here's the truth Carl Jung would have wanted you to understand. You weren't weak, you were unaware. Because these people wear masks so convincingly, even your intuition could be fooled. Not because it's broken, but because it's kind. You believed in their light, even when their darkness consumed yours. But awareness changes everything. Once you see the mask, you can never unsee it. The trickster's grin, the martyr's chains, the victim's invisible leash, the mirror's distortion, the persona's empty charm, and the chaos dealer's twisting fog. They no longer hide in plain sight. They expose themselves through patterns, by how they make you feel smaller, less sure, more dependent. So the question is, how do you see the mask before it consumes you? You start by watching the impact, not the intention. It doesn't matter what someone says they are. What matters is how you feel when they're around. Do you feel grounded or always doubting yourself? Do you feel heard or slowly erased? Do you feel free or quietly caged? Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." These people bank on your unconsciousness, but now, you're not unconscious. You're awake. And now that you see, you choose. You draw boundaries. You protect your soul. Not out of fear, but out of respect for the light within you that they tried to dim. So don't blame yourself for not knowing. Celebrate yourself for finally understanding. And next time someone smiles too wide, suffers too loudly, or plays too many roles, you'll recognize the mask, you'll hear the echo of Jung's wisdom, and you'll know. This time, I walk away before the damage begins, because now, you're no longer living blind, you're living aware.